This is the Iowa Weather Report for Tuesday, June 18th, 2013. Now our first look at the 0Z GFS Model Run. This is at 1 p.m. this afternoon. We have a ridge developing over the Plain States, a little bit of energy moving across the Great Lakes and also across the Red River Valley in Oklahoma and Texas, a storm moving into the northwest. Around here we'll have maybe an isolated shower, but it's looking more like it'll be partly to mostly sunny for most of the day today, with highs in the 70s and lower 80s, a bit cooler than it was on Monday, with shower activity well off to our south and east. That continues here into Wednesday, with high pressure dominating the Great Lakes and into the upper Mississippi River Valley. But late in the day, especially into Wednesday night, there could be a stray thunderstorm or shower across our western counties of the state. This looks to move in here for Thursday with a low pressure center over Nebraska, so we could see some showers and thunderstorms here Thursday as a warm front begins to move in, bringing in much warmer air to the state. Winds turn southwesterly, and this continues even into Friday with the low pressure center near Valentine, Nebraska. We're good on the warm sector, so temperatures well into the 80s, a few low 90s possible. It'll be very humid. It'll feel a lot like summer at this point. And Saturday looks like we could see an isolated shower or storm around, highs in the 80s to near 90, maybe over 90. Humidity will be quite significant, so we could see heat indices well into the 90s across the state. And Sunday looks to be about the same way. We could see an isolated shower or storm around, about a 20 to 30% crack at that, with highs still in the 80s to lower 90s, with heat indices well into the 90s with some high humidity. Heading into the new work week here next on Monday, we still have southwesterly winds aloft. That's going to keep the temperatures up into the 80s and low 90s, with the heat indices well into the 90s, maybe approaching 100, with maybe a shower or storm around. And as we head to a week from today, next Tuesday, we have the main westerlies off to our north, a ridge over the south, building back into the south and west. And with the westerlies well to our north and the heat bubble well to our south, that'll just keep the winds out of the southwest. It doesn't seem to change, but it looks like the shower and thunderstorm activity will be off to our east and to our north at this point, with highs still in the 80s and lower 90s. As we move ahead into Voodoo, June the 29th, a 594 heat bubble over Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and the eastern Great Lakes will be on the west side of that heat bubble. So with that, that'll keep the high heat a little bit to our east, but the southwesterly winds and southerly winds will still be around, with highs well into the 80s and low 90s, with a possible afternoon shower or storm around, better chances off to our south and east. And at the end of the forecast on the 3rd of July, we have a trough over the Great Lakes. The heat bubble is now switched over to the western part of the country, over the Four Corners region. With the northwesterly flow aloft, that's not going to keep temperatures very warm. Well, won't keep the temperatures in the 90s. It'll be putting the temperatures likely in the lower to middle 80s. The humidity will be a little less, and the rain shower activity, if this was to be right, would be off to our south and east at that point. The satellite image from last evening, we had one system moving across the Ohio and Tennessee River Valley into the southeast, a complex of showers and thunderstorms over the high plains and down into Texas, and a few clouds moving into the Pacific Northwest. The watch warning map from last evening, we had several red flag warnings across western Colorado, Utah, into Nevada, and northwestern Arizona, a few severe thunderstorm warning and flash flood warning issues over Texas. Elsewhere, it was fairly quiet. The QBF chart precipitation over the next 5 days through Saturday evening at 7 o'clock, showing rainfall amounts could be upwards of a half to maybe 3/4 of an inch. Could be isolated heavier totals in any areas that receive thunderstorms.